You know, for so many Brazilians, it's this huge dream, right? Packing everything up, starting fresh in a new country, chasing a new life. It's this incredibly powerful idea. But what really happens when the fantasy meets the 5-day work week? That's what we're digging into today. The dream of moving abroad versus the cold, hard reality. So be honest. Have you ever been scrolling, maybe late at night, and just started fantasizing about a totally different life somewhere else? Yeah, you're not the only one. Not by a long shot. I mean, get this. In a single year, more than 20,000 Brazilians officially filed for permanent departure. But as you're about to see, the road from that daydream to your actual daily life, well, it's got a few more bumps than you think. And this is where the two paths really split. The expectation is this seamless, beautiful upgrade, an enriching experience, more security, better quality of life. But the reality, for a lot of people, it starts with a jolt. You land, you step outside, and suddenly, everything you thought was true, everything you just took for granted, is completely up for grabs. And let's be real, the reasons for wanting to go are totally valid and super powerful. We're talking about feeling safer, having a better quality of life, finding those career opportunities you just can't get at home, or just seeing the world in a new way. These are huge, life-changing motivators. But even with the best reasons in the world, you might be heading for some unexpected turbulence. And that turbulence, it usually kicks off with a massive emotional roller coaster. This is the side of the story that never, ever makes it into the pretty postcard pictures or those living my best life posts you see online. It's the deep psychological impact of leaving everything and everyone behind. Listen to how one psychologist who works with Brazilian expats puts it. This isn't about just feeling sad once in a while. It's a constant background hum. It's the daily reality of being far away from your people, your family, your lifelong friends. It's not a sharp pain that goes away, it's more like a chronic ache. And these feelings are so real, so common, they actually have specific names. The first, every Brazilian knows, saudade, that deep, almost painful longing for home. But the second is aculturamento, or acculturation. And that's the slow, tricky process of trying to absorb a new culture's way of thinking and being, which can honestly make you feel like you're losing yourself a little bit. And trust me, this is not some rare, isolated case. This quote is from a guy who moved to France, thinking it was the dream. But after just 1 year, the shine wore off. He had this huge realization. Quality of life on paper doesn't automatically mean happiness. And he discovered he was way more Brazilian and way happier being Brazilian than he ever thought. This leads to a really fundamental shift in your identity. See, back home, you're just you. But abroad, you suddenly become the foreigner, the outsider. Many expats, especially in Europe, talk about this subtle, kind of veiled xenophobia. This weird feeling that no matter how long you live there, you might never ever be seen as a true local. You're always the other. Okay, so aside from those big, heavy, emotional battles, you've got the day-to-day stuff, the practical hurdles. And this is the stuff that can really grind you down, sometimes even more than the loneliness, because it's constant. It's the part you definitely don't see on Instagram. And it's like a domino effect. The language barrier, the idioma, makes a simple trip to the store feel like a major test. Then there's the food, the alimentación. You're not just missing taste, you're missing the feeling of home. Then pile on the shock of a truly cold, dark winter, the clima, and the absolute nightmare of bureaucracy for literally everything. You realize pretty quick, these aren't small things at all. They're your entire life. I mean, this quote from an expat just says it all, doesn't it? The climate shock is so real. We Brazilians think we know what cold is, but a real, harsh, dark European winter, it's a completely different beast. It messes with your mood, your energy, in ways you just can't even imagine until you're in it. And you want to know how real this struggle gets? It gets by a fake sun real. Some Brazilians get so desperate for light during those long, depressing winters that they literally buy special lamps to imitate the sun, just to feel a little bit of warmth and light. I mean, think about that. It's a wild solution to a problem you never thought you'd have. And then, of course, there's the money. Trying to send money back home or get some from family isn't like a quick Pix transfer. Nope. You're suddenly wrestling with international finance, with all its crazy rules, fees, and exchange rates. It's just another layer of stress on a brain that's already completely overloaded. Okay, so we've talked about the emotional roller coaster and the daily grind, and it sounds pretty overwhelming, right? But here's the pivot. People do make it work. They succeed. So how? How do you go from just barely surviving to actually truly thriving in a new country? Well, the strategies that really work usually start small. First, learn the language. It's not just about ordering coffee, it's about getting your independence back. Second, build a cozy nest. Make your new apartment or house feel like a real home, a sanctuary. Third, create rituals. Give your weekends some structure with things you actually enjoy. And maybe most importantly, find your community, find your people. It's the ultimate cure for that deep loneliness. Psychologically, you're basically walking a tightrope. On one side, you've got the resistor. This is the person who says, nope, I'm not changing. They only hang out with Brazilians, only eat Brazilian food, and never really learn the language. On the other side is the assimilator, who tries so hard to blend in that they start rejecting their own culture, which can lead to a serious identity crisis. The sweet spot, the goal, is to find that balance right in the middle, to integrate without erasing yourself. So think of this as your practical toolkit. Before you even go, get your diploma validated, start building your professional network on LinkedIn, research those visa requirements like your life depends on it, because it kind of does. Open an international bank account online to make life easier, and once you're there, invite your friends and family to visit. It makes your new life feel real. And above all, try to remember, the toughest phase, it won't last forever. So this brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? The one everybody wants to know. After all the chaos, the struggle, the incredible highs and the crushing lows, was it all worth it? Well, the honest-to-God truth is, there's no single answer. There can't be. It's so personal. It all comes down to what you're looking for. So instead of giving you one simple verdict, let's look at 3 completely different but totally valid stories from real people. First up, the resounding yes. This is from a Brazilian who, after 6 years in Canada, says it was absolutely worth it. For them, the gains in security and quality of life outweighed all the challenges. The dream came true. But then you have the complete opposite story. This person lived in Spain for 2 years and decided to come back. They realized that for them, Brazil was just better. And you know what? That's not a failure. That's a success story too. It's the success of self-discovery. And finally, we have what might be the most realistic answer of all. It depends. This expat in the US absolutely nails it. You will always be making a trade-off. You'll gain some things and you'll lose some things. The only way to know if it's worth it for you is to know exactly what your priorities are before you even step on that plane. Because in the end, moving abroad isn't really about changing your address. It's about changing yourself. The whole experience forces you to figure out what home means, what happiness means, and who you are. So maybe the real question isn't just where do I want to live? It's who do I want to become?